Good morning. Oh, Miguel in here real early. I like it. I like it. Got that coffee ready to go for the day. Today we do notice that this 30-minute most likely is confirming here. Now we are seeing a dramatic move down to the daily expected move. Q is actually able to drop outside of it. Remember, we're paying attention if we can actually break these lows. And if this thing will end up, I know it's crazy to say, but will it end up building back over time, right? We will see if that is going to take place. Something we can notice here is some potential upper blocks, right? Some potential upper blocks. We'll see about this entire thing right in here. And we'll see if we're able to bounce and maybe retest into that to give us some kind of head and shoulders, right? We'll pay attention to those type of things. But for now, you are confirming divergence, right? We were talking about GDP, saying, why is no one talking about GDP coming in weak? All the estimates coming in weak. And now we see why they're not talking about it. They wanted you to catch a surprise, right? So if you weren't paying attention to GDP and not a lot of people were mentioning it in the media, well, that's a good reason for that. We see the 30-minute divergence, most likely confirming here. We have to see how negative this is able to go today. We can go, for the Qs, especially, you see that broken low, but we can go look at something like the S&P 500 and see, hey, the 30-minute, at least in the futures here, really rough spot. Losing this, a good chance to say, oh, okay, a higher low in the futures for the 30-minute. We would like to see a 2-hour higher or lower high. Sorry about that, lower high. But we have taken out this. If we end up wiping out all of this, that's going to be a big deal. So we need to be paying attention to the SPY very, very closely and understanding where our daily expected moves are and how this thing would behave if it starts to go into a extremely negative trend on these shorter time frames, right? The shorter time frames. Because ultimately, is this a really, really bad thing? It might seem like a bad thing initially, but if we actually make some reversal signals here, that'll be a big deal to actually head higher. I highly, highly doubt with the news that we have been giving that bears will not capitalize on this in some way. So what we'll be looking for in some way is actually I'll be paying attention to the shorter time frames to see if anything sets up at this type of level on my other screen. We will be mostly paying attention to 30-minute charts over here on this main screen here, but I'll pull over that 5-minute from time to time. I will only be able to stay live for about an hour after the open today. Mama's got a big day planned for her. So I'm going to be on dad duty for pretty much all day today. So I apologize for that. I know it's a crazy day. We kind of set this up way in advance, and I didn't even know it was set up, to be totally honest with you, until just a few days ago. So that's unfortunate. But hey, things happen and things are happening with volatility, right? Is this different? Yes, this is very, very different, right? You're getting these type of moments. And guess what? We failed this time. Will we fail this time, right? That's going to be the big deal. Do we just see a surge in volatility, or are we going to see this fail again below that 5? I think it's very doubtful to see that, especially during retail hour. I think this thing could extend. We see that the 2-hour is nowhere near really going to overextended readings. So that 2-hour momentum could take over and we could end up seeing more of a pullback towards that 29.64. Maybe we get a little lip on it like this or something like that. And then we end up going to higher levels, right? The way that we know if volatility is going to extremely come in is if we start to take out key things, right? If we start to take out key levels for volatility, if the SPY, I think the SPY would be a better hint of this. And it would more be like the structure of how we break down. That would be, oh my gosh, we're going to go through something absolutely terrible. We get a bounce, we head down again. We get to this level and we're not able to see this type of move, right? If we're not able to see that, but instead we catch a bounce here and we reject from these type of levels and turn to the downside, we use this as resistance again. That'll be a big problem. Remember, this is the area we've used as resistance many, many times. So at this point, if we're going to head lower, well, you're probably going to see some kind of bounce at that weekly spike. I expect you to get some volatility, right? Going into, say, Thursday, you get some kind of bounce for Friday, and then it ends up selling off towards the end of the week. So we'll really have to be paying attention. Is this just a 30-minute bounce? Is there weakness in that bounce? Or are we able to carve it out and say, hey, if the 2-hour is able to confirm up, that might be a good thing as long as that management for the trade doesn't have to come in. So there are things that can go up. It can go down from this area. Why? Because you were not able to really exceed some key levels. And now you're right back into the area where you could have a problem. As of this morning, though, you would still be potentially using this as support. So we'll see if that support ends up broken, maybe after a small bounce, right? If this is going to break through, then break through, use it as resistance and turn down. If this is going to bounce off of that level and curl down again, we still want to see that curl down again. If this is going to not do anything and this is going to be fine, then we need to see major support at this level come in. We'll need to probably go for at least a test of this high and not be able to fail that move, right? We want to see this thing actually get above that to keep climbing higher. I know that this is a very bad GDP reading, and talking about upside after getting that type of reading and this kind of price action is crazy, but we have to mention it because you never know what can come around the corner, right? You never know what could happen. And this could be just a reaction down, and then we see people really get FOMO'd into earnings, or the algorithm takes back over at this level as it touches support. So we're just going to watch both sides, even though most of the inclination would be you're going to end up down here, and here is where we really want to be paying attention. This is still the area where you can make another 2-hour higher low. So we're going to be paying attention to that area very, very closely. But if we don't see the inclination that we're going to head to that area, then we need to be paying attention to upside. And that's just how the stock market goes. I trade like water. I pay attention to both directions. I look for what's the most probable at all times. And now this would potentially be the more probable scenario for the time being. You get some kind of little bounce here, and then it curls back down. And that's the most probable thing at this moment. Now we'll have to see how that shapes up. We'll have to see it into the future. We'll have to be paying attention to if we even get a bounce from this level, because, you know, most of the things are going to point to here with that terrible reading. And if you didn't see the terrible reading, let's pull it up for you real quick. Now, this is something we were aware of weeks in advance. You guys remember me talking about this when it was a negative number. These were negative numbers. This was actually negative 1.2. But I want you to understand something about the stock market and data. When I saw this at negative 1%, I actually saw these forecasted and consensus at about negative 1% just a couple of weeks ago. Now notice it changed to 0.3 and 0.5. The reaction to this type of number would have been completely different if this still said negative 1%, negative 1%. But instead, it was updated to positive 0.5, and then it came in at negative 0.3. Negative 0.3 to negative 1%, hey, people might have shrugged that off. But negative 3% to 0.5%, people aren't going to shrug that thing off, right? People aren't going to shrug that thing off for the time being. We have to see if they're able to throughout the trading session with how they move their money around. But that is something that I noticed, and it was very, very interesting to me. And I think data is tampered with overall. I think the estimates are made to manipulate you based on the story that wants to be presented. But hey, that's my own little thing. You know, does it really help me trade? Not necessarily. Does it help me with the psychology of the market? A little bit. For the time being, what are we saying in the chat, though? Everyone saying good morning? Everyone got their coffee ready? Who said Palantir wasn't a good short? Well, Palantir would have been the more likely the more likely better decision would be to short it, but you are short squeezing, right? You are short squeezing. If that GDP came in at positive 1%, positive 2%, it would have been a terrible short. You didn't know that this was going to come in at negative 0.3, right? You didn't know that. But to say, like, if you used all of your risk to reward and things like that, then it was very obvious for Palantir to be a short. But was it obvious now? Or would it have kept going like this and then been obvious later? Right? So that's all. Right? It's all about decision making. If you wanted to make that decision, hey, you got rejection divergence, right? You got rejected here. You're not curled up yet, but it's not necessarily the best time to be like, oh yeah, the trend is really going down. Now you're heading down. If you get that kind of bounce and you see that confirm again, this is the actual trade. This is the actual trade over here. Just so you're aware. The actual trade is when you get some kind of retest, right? And then you actually see that reject off of it, and you see something like, and then it's actually able to go negative. That's actually the time that it makes sense. The trend is with you. In this type of scenario right now, even right now for Palantir, is it breaking the key level? No. Has it tested the key level as far as the pre-market? No. Could it just do this? Yes. The market can do crazy things, right? So it's all about risk to reward. If you wanted to risk to reward it here, that's fine. But your reasons for risk to rewarding it were plainly, I think that it will go down to here, right? Around this type of move, and then this type of move, and then this type of move, you actually have technicals telling you something here. This can be broken. This can be used as potential resistance, right? So it's not a matter of, oh, it's a bad or a good short based on what the stock does. The real thing is, from the technical side, if you're trying to be a technical trader, it is actually, do you actually see a setup for this to go down? Here, you don't necessarily see a setup for this to go down. You can talk about it from a risk to reward perspective, and that's where you really pay attention to your position size. But for the time being, if you actually want the trade setup, you are going to have to see this go down to that center line, bounce back up most likely, and then see that thing cross back down through that center line. And that would be around this type of area after you retest into something that we just broke down from. Okay, we need to start looking at things that are actually trade setups. This is not a trade setup. If you're paying attention to your MACD, you're paying attention to your RSI, and it made you make a decision, that's fine, but you need price action to tell you, really. I like price action to tell me the main thing is price action. And price action for this was very bullish. Yeah, I think it should fall, right? It looks very obvious to fall. It didn't have to. But now you'll actually get a trade setup. If you actually get the trade set up, then you'll see something like this. If you don't get the trade set up and it's just going to flush, well, then look how positive this 2 hour is, right? Look how positive the 2 hour is. Where could it go to? It could go all the way back down to here. It could literally go all the way back down like this and then get a good earnings and be like, boom again, right? There is no real trade setup per se here. You do not have good confirmations, right? You don't have great ones. If anything, you manage the trade, right? Because of your management of the trade skills. So all of your skills here, and even at the end of the day, a green bar, this didn't say get back in, right? That's flagging. All the technicals said, hey, there's not a lot of problems here. You had, and a piece of data did this. A piece of data did this. The technicals did not do this, right? You do not see the price action did not suggest that the technicals were something to read into yet. And then you get a piece of data. Okay, you got to stop looking at big moves like this and saying, oh, this was obvious. It's always obvious in hindsight. This is not a trade setup yet. This is not a confirmed trade setup. And bummer, right? You have to look at these and you're hoping they confirm so you can catch the move. And you go, bummer, okay, darn. And then you're going to look at every single move that does this, and you were looking at it here and waiting for your technical setup, trying to make good decisions, and you're going to beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. There is no technical setup just yet, right? Now there is, but do you want to chase it for this when it could do this? No, I want to see it do this, and I want to see the next technical setup. What would be the next technical setup? This goes down, tests a key level, maybe even breaks it a little bit. That would be good, right? Then we see that bounce up. Then you see it confirm back down. That would be your trade setup. Guess what? If it does this, am I chasing? If it doesn't do any of that, am I chasing? No. That means there's no technical setup. Sometimes the technical setup does not set up, right? Not every single time you want something to show you the short is it going to show you the short, especially on a day-to-day, okay? I'll tell you something that was giving technical setups. GME confirming down on the 30 minutes. Kind of hard for the 2 hour to unconfirm all these divergences by turning down a 30 minute. GME was a technical setup. Why? Because what? We bounce down, we bounce up. We bounce down, we bounce up. We fail. You actually get confirmation of failure in the price action on your MACD, on your RSI. This is a technical setup. And it's not even selling off that hard, weirdly enough, 1.3%. Going over to look at like SoFi. SoFi was a technical setup. SoFi was a technical setup. Right here, technically the confirmation being right here at 1326. Is it something dramatic right now? Or is it just hitting that 5? It's just hitting the 5. Let's look at some other things. Microsoft was on the brink, on the absolute brink of being a technical setup, right? And this is where you can read into it. If you have two reasons, right? I can make a play. Even with Palantir, right? If I have, two reasons and I'm not reading into price action, I consider these, kind of on their own, mutually exclusive. Okay, you have at least two indicators, but the price action didn't set it up for you. Right? Let's not try to look at things that are going down and talk about them like they were obvious. If they were obvious, then you would have done it. Right? If it was that obvious, that means that everything that you trade around, every single confirmation that you look for confirmed, then why is the trade not taken? If everything with your strategy is there, then why is it not taken and you're ready to manage your trade if something goes wrong? It's because the setup wasn't there. And now you're just getting a random occurrence that's giving you the setup late. It's as simple as that. Can I talk about companies ready to report having a miss? No idea. No idea. Like I said, earnings, man. And Trant, thank you so much for joining today. Earnings, man. You know what? Most people, at least smart people who talk about technical analysis, will tell you about earnings. Technicals can be thrown out the window. I mean, go look at Tesla. Go look at Tesla and tell me that this was a very, very good, very, very good report. Guess what? Look where the stock is. It's way up there. Did you have a setup here? No. It looked like it was going to break to the upside. If anything, your setup said this way. But then you go, oh, it's overbought. It's overbought. But then maybe you went, oh, it's Tesla, though. It's got to get to here, right? And this isn't me trying to like talk badly to anyone in the chat, by the way. This is in no way me trying to demonize anyone in the chat. I understand you see something go down, you had inclination towards it, right? That happens all the time. But if your confirmations actually happened, you would have taken the play. The point is the confirmations did not happen, so you didn't take the play. Then you got a piece of data. Don't beat yourself up over it, okay? What happened to Wolf? Wolf saw a crazy move to the upside, and now it's seeing a crazy move to the downside after it tagged into my zone of resistance that we needed to break through. Right? We showed this off yesterday. Netflix, right? Very, very obvious. And people are going, wow, short Netflix, short Netflix. Hasn't confirmed yet. Look at Netflix. It's ready to confirm. Don't sit and linger on looking at Palantir that's already moved down, and maybe you just see Netflix. And then it actually curls down, you get a good confirmation, right? So as the market opens up, we are down 1.35, 1.37 technically to start off the day. We are going right to that daily expected move, which means this amount of implied volatility was expected. This was expected by the options market. Now we have to see if something unexpected comes. I think we recover fast. That's fine. You know what you have to do from here? You have to see this thing bounce from this level. You can't really lose this low. And I would say more so, you start to see breakings below this 543.76, this wick right here where you saw the last extension, and then this one right here where you see that extension. You lose both of those, you're in trouble of going down to here. So very, very nice. Very, very nice. We play it both ways. Now, what would we see over here? Well, let me make sure I'm on shorter time frames over here for you. I don't have the daily expected move, but around this type of area, you can get a little 5-minute bounce, right? We're pretty damn oversold on the 5-minute. Let's see the last time we were that oversold on a 5-minute. It continued to the downside. So we'll look for anything that relates to a bounce coming, right? We have to see how the market does over time here. Yeah, if we recover very quickly, it tells you something about the algorithms. Like, man. Now, the Qs might be giving you a hint already, being like, hey, we're breaking this. If we break this, and we're below the 5 dramatically at this point, watch for those little reactions to the 5. But other than that, man, it's looking a little rough. Sorry, Tony, I was just making sure to get through a bunch of stuff. I didn't want people thinking like, oh, I missed out on this. I missed out on this. A lot of the plays were risk to reward. So I didn't want you guys beating yourself up all morning long going, I was going to short it, I was going to short it, I was going to short it. And then beat yourself up because you didn't get the short confirmations or you didn't get the pullback confirmations because shorting in this environment still is difficult. Alrighty. We ended up taking a position yesterday, so that's very, very nice. Sometimes you risk to reward it, right? When you're a confident trader and you're like, hey, I know a lot about position sizing. Sometimes you risk to reward that bad boy. But you got to get comfortable with your things. And if you're someone who really, really likes confirmation, you don't maybe have an amount of money to where you can, waste 500 bucks sometimes and just say, yeah, this looks risk to reward like. So 500 bucks can go a decent way. Then you have to wait for your setups. And being patient is something you should very much so practice, especially if you're anywhere below 25K. If you're anywhere below 25K in your options account, not even just your full portfolio, full trading account, but options account, if you don't have 25K that you can dedicate to just like options itself, I would say that you want to make sure for your setups to be confirmed and you want to be patient for those. Let's see. What are we paying attention to though? Look at Nvidia. Nvidia, dang, going down into our zone a little bit deeper. Weirdly enough, not seeing too crazy yet. We'll see if that can continue, right? We have some key things down in these type of areas, I believe, for things like Nvidia. So let's not get convinced it has to be absolutely horrible until it shows us, hey, it's absolutely horrible, and then there's a trade setup that says, hey, it's going again. Go again. You'd have to have an IQ under 50 to believe what he's saying. The tariffs have nothing to do with it. McDaniel turns into Nvidia. That is a typo, my friend. Nvidia might bounce off the 10 DMA. Paying attention to the price action right now, very, very good thing. All right, that's why we're looking at shorter time frames on the other one. Nothing really to go right. Nothing really there at all. Nothing, just super deep. So you'd expect some kind of 5-minute bounce. You're super, super deep here, by the way. Let's look at the last few times we've been down that deep. Okay, you made one here. You got down that deep over here, made it here. So every single time you've been at these lower levels, you've seen some form of dramatic downside or divergence be formed. So if there is zero, zilch, nothing that relates to this thing could turn back around, we're not at least retaking 548, right? 548. Then there's really not a lot going on here besides, hey, people are going to guess back and forth and just say, hey, the trend is changing, right? If we're below that 5, if we close the day below that 5, well, we have earnings still that can do crazy things. Hood, we can go check on Hood real quick. I am going to check on things on here for the time being. Hood, kind of a similar look to, I would say, Nvidia at this point. Drop down, you go to this level, you don't break this. So really, this is not that bad. And then you see this, and you just going, does this give you a lot of confidence for that to happen? From what you see right now, like, or what you saw before this, just exclude this for a moment. Did this give you a bunch of confidence that this was going to take place? This little ramp to the side here, and then it's just going to boom, right? That's one thing too. We have to look at the structure of things and be like, man, is this thing really gearing up for a big move? Or is it more so looking like what? You know? But for Hood, for the time being, what would you like? You'd like this. You would like a 2-hour. I mean, let's not get disappointed if Hood ends up going all the way back down to here and then curls up into positive territory again. Right? Now you got earnings to watch out for, so rough time, right? Very risky week. I'd say if you're able to make money this week, then say thank you. Because it's going to be a lot of rip around, back and forth kind of things. Very, very nice. And if you're in here and you're talking about politics every single day, or you're talking about politics even right now, then I think your time would be better utilized somewhere else. There is nothing you can do about politics. There is absolutely zilch that you can do about politics. You know what you can control if you're looking at markets? Is paying attention to politics going to help you? No. You know what will help you? Learning about price action, learning about weekly expected moves, learning about this daily expected move that says we have a 68% chance to bounce, right? Now, let's take into consideration that this could be worse than expected, and it looks like it is to start off the morning. So let's see. I can't control what someone posts, whether they're a politician or not. I can't control what they do, whether they're a politician or not, but I can control what I do. I can control when I decide to hold on to the SPY. I can control when I decide to get back into the SPY. I can control how much money I'm willing to risk in times like this. I can control not risking any money during an earnings week. Clean up your house and then you can clean your neighbors. Clean up your house, then you can clean your neighbors. If you found the best investment strategy in the world, you would probably be focusing on yourself, the decisions you can make. Then you can maybe share that benefit with your family. It's not a bad thing, right? Taking care of yourself first can open yourself up to do good things for others. So let's do what we can control here. What can we control? Well, holding on to stocks right now with that GDP is probably going to be a rough business. But what can we control? Well, I had a short. Am I going to hold that short all the way down into here? Personally, no. That's not the game I play. That's not the game I play, even though I think it will go down to here. But the reason that I'm selling now is so that I have time to think about what's going on down here. So I'm not biased down here, right? I already sold my position. It's worth plenty. I will take 140% on a day randomly at any time because this is fantastic. Taking profits, great. I have a reason to. I have a decision to make. I'm at that daily expected move. 68% chance to do that. I ain't fooling around with that. I'm going, all right, if you want to keep going, if you want to turn around right now, I'm prepared now. I have no bias. If you want to go down to here and turn around, I'm prepared now. I have no bias. If you want to keep doing this and absolutely crash down, that's perfectly fine because I have no money at risk. All right? Do you see how the decision making, the good decision making, is at every point? At every single point, I am thinking about things that I can control. And you're probably going, you could have made more, you could have made more, you could have made more. The point is, I made. Right? The Q is dropping down where? Below this. This is bad. This is most likely to continue. Volatility up by 14%. Is that good or bad? That is bad. Do we see any reversal from it? No. So what do we most likely need to see, at least for the Qs down in this area? We might see something like this. We might see this still, just to get there. Then we might see that. Let's see if we form a low and get that 2-hour higher low, right? If I missed out on all this and I was like, ah, damn, I wish I short. Okay, you didn't. So what's the next one? The next one is, when does this turn back up? And if I can use my skills in the key areas, if I can use my skills around then I'm going to be prepared before anyone else. I'm going to be ready to react. So if this bolts down today, right? If this bolts down, we see the 30-minute already almost oversold. We see that 30-minute come all the way down to this level. You see it bounce up and people go, yeah. And then it goes like this. And then everyone right here goes, it's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. And then you see it do this. 1, there's a trade right here. 2, there's a trade right here. Prepared for the next one. Be prepared. And be prepared to potentially make those starter positions in times of risk, right? If you're green, if you're new, right? Green meaning new. If you're new, it's very difficult to make those kinds of decisions because you potentially don't have the big portfolio size. But if you're not so green, if you have a couple years under your belt, therefore you have more than 25K, then you don't mind risk to rewarding a starter position of $500, right? That's me. I don't mind risk to rewarding things with $500. I really don't. And then boom, I get to make over 500 bucks. It's great. Right? Doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean I don't lose money sometimes, right? Because this easily could have went like that and I could have lost it all. That's why position size is very important. So I'm trying to think of the key topics for this. And right now it's showing you something different, right? You saw this, you saw this, you saw this, you saw this. Did you just see this? No. What did you see? You saw this. So what's the next thing to most likely come? Well, at some point, we're going to get this. And if it's going to fail, it's going to do that. Right? That's how markets move. You are seeing a shift here. So now you are getting the trend to shift, which means if we don't see this get ruined here and just bolt back up on some potentially good news, it had to be pretty damn good news. If we don't see some kind of V shape, you're saying thank you, because then it could just do this and it could be over. Right? Don't let what's happening now affect what could happen later. If you could do with this, then you could do with that. I like it, Ta. Let's go look at HIMS. A lot of people have been talking about HIMS lately, so I want to give it a look. Why were they talking about HIMS? I'm always, yeah, that's why, right there. That's why everyone talks about HIMS. The HIMS, perfect reaction, perfect level, perfect everything. If you were watching a 2-hour here, and you saw that confirm up, guess what? It never confirmed back down. Wham. You were in it. Very, very obvious level. Very obvious. Super obvious. You get there, right? You get, I mean, if you're not taking profit towards that level, like, come on. Stop trying to get rich quick, because you're going to end up poor fast. You're going to end up poor quick, or stop not trading quick, right? You reacted to the top side. What does this mean? This means that this is very possible. Left, head, do not take it into consideration what is happening now. If you see this come down even to this type of level and turn around, what is it? That's a very good formation of structure. Now you notice you can funk around a lot there. You can mess around a lot here. So let's make sure to pay attention before we make the decisions that we can make, before we can actually do the things that we can control. One of those things is how much time, right? Time. We talk about time. Time, very important. So for HIMS, why is HIMS so awful right now? It's above the 5. That's a good thing. It's positive. That's a good thing. The 30 minutes turned down, yeah, but that's positive. All you have to do for HIMS is do this. And it's going back to test that high and go make a new one. If you see this, right, we cut through that 5. Maybe we go to gap fill and then you end up bouncing and you see that fail. There's the short. And then I would highly encourage weekly expected moves, because you could just be forming good structure. Can't get right. I like it, though. A lot of people have been asking about HIMS. JP Morgan, perfectly happy with JP Morgan. Now, JP Morgan was rough. JP Morgan was rough. Why? Well, because you're doing this. You're just going sideways, which is very, very good. It's very bullish, actually. It's very bullish to hold price, just pull back with time, right at a key level, and then see that thing boom to the upside. Did you ever get the boom to the upside? Well, price action said yeah. RSI said no. MACD said no. So now what could you be doing? Well, we got a couple of juicy gaps down here. We haven't lost this key level here. We're still overall sideways, right? We haven't lost it. So let's pay attention. So for the time being, you are experiencing a 2-hour pullback. You were pulling back with time. It seems that you are continuing to pull back with time. Let's see. You start to lose 240. And really, it's actually right here, 239.64. So really, your line is kind of like, where's that wick? It's like here. You start to lose that and use that as resistance. Guess what? What happened when you use that as resistance here? Bad. What happened when you used it as support and then you lost it? Bad. What happened when you went into that general area? Bad. So if we do this and then get this and then it rejects, there's the short, right? And then where would it target? Here, you know, if you're not going to get all the way down there, but also here. And then you have to watch out for cheeky things, right? Because you might have a weekly expected move here. What if this just barely cuts this and goes bloop, and you have divergence? How are you going to react? Plan it out. The reason that I like to look into the future is so I can train myself in order to kind of think of what could happen in the future. Therefore, my emotions will be ready for it, right? If I'm sitting here blind, and I see JP Morgan do this, and then do this and this really fast, and I go, man, this is awful, man, this is awful, man, this is awful. Well, if I would have thought of that forming here, maybe have a weekly expected move or a monthly expected move here, which we're giving out new monthly expected moves tonight. Sorry for the quick video last night. We're just busy over here planning out a day for mama, right? What's important? Family. What's really important? Family. If this market's ripping you apart and you're losing money every single day trying to day trade this market, awesome. Go spend time with family. You're not going to lose money. You're just going to gain some good memories. For the time being, though, if this would happen and I wasn't thinking about it at all here, wasn't planning it out in advance at all here, then this would make me freak out. But if I am thinking about it here, how it could fill those gaps and make a reversal signal, my emotions will be a lot more controllable around this area. I'm prepared. When everyone said that can't happen, I'm like, if it does and I see this, then I will be taking it. That's the plan. Sometimes it goes as far as that. But is it even close to that right now? Have we lost the yellow or the orange line? No. And we see how important that is. Bam, bam. Look at that consolidation at it. Bam. Look at the gap. Look at the support. Gapped again. You don't think that level's important? It's extremely important. If you keep that level and it just goes like this and breaks through, you're probably making a new high and going all the way to 254. So keep a level head even in bad times. Who's the guy that survives a zombie apocalypse when the zombies first hit? The guy freaking out and running into the street where the zombies are, or the person who steps back and goes, man, I'm freaking out, but let me think about this for a second. Sebastian, thank you so much for the two. For the two. You're doing an awesome job. Thank you. Thank you for that, Sebastian. Really appreciate it, my buddy. Don't think this is going to cause anyone. Well, here's the thing. If people... Here's what we need to understand, too. If this is not that weak of a reading that says this is not already priced in, and we get a good earnings, people could say, oh, it's going to get better now. Right? When do you actually bottom a lot of the time on what? Well, potentially there's bad news around, but that bad news doesn't affect the people because why? It's priced in. But we have to see if it's priced in. You know, the best ways to see if this is actually priced in is to retest the level. I would love for this to happen. I would also love for this to happen. I would also love for this to happen. I would also love for this to happen. Once you really understand that the market's more about reacting and you can control a certain amount of decisions, then you just say, whatever the market does, I like it. And part of that is being very good with position size as well. PCE in just a few minutes, correct? Don't we get PCE in just a few minutes? Core PCE, personal income, personal spending. If people see that people are still spending, could be interesting. It could send us into worse, right? If you get bad news here, below this red line, that's an awful thing. So is YOLOing this a good idea? Is YOLOing this a good idea? Because there's an argument for it. You get bad news below this, it can get ugly, real ugly. You get good news below this, you snap back into the 68% zone. Right now, if you wanted to go check on that just before, we do see that the PCE index here, 0.1, 0.1, previous 0.4. We see personal income, 0.8 was the previous, supposed to go down to 0.4, 0.5. We see personal spending at 0.4, but increasing to potentially 0.5 or remaining at 0.4. And then we'll look for the reaction in the market. If spending is higher, then we could say, well, that is going to fuel the economy. If spending is lower, ooh, it might be a little rough. We'll have to see. But it's all due to the reaction. The reaction is the most important part. Can't get right. Thank you for the $2. Appreciate it. Keep up the great work. I'm learning every day. Thank you. Hey, thank you for being here, and thank you for being open-minded, and thank you for having just that mindset, right? I do not get things right all the time. I would not be here if I got things right all the time, right? I'm in a slow process, and I'm trying to share that slow process with everyone to show it does take time, but over time you can get better and better and better and end up being a higher percentage trader that then makes money. Revenue from ChatGPT, very, very difficult to say. Very, very much so too early, I would even say, for the industry. What I can tell you from my research into AI companies is they are having a very, very hard time with actual monetization. The actual monetization to the end consumer. You guys. There is not a good pricing structure. There's not. They are charging, say, $200 for some things a month, and that is still losing them money in a lot of cases. So AI is something that just popped up, right? Kind of just popped up. It's probably been around forever. I'm sure the military's used it. I'm sure the government's used it on us forever, for way longer than you think. But for the time being, we can see that they're having a hard time making it profitable on the selling to consumer end. Also, if it's not really, really good for your job, I highly doubt you're even paying for it. And you're probably using the low end ChatGPT. And if you're trying to get very, very good information from the low end ChatGPT, or try to get low end ChatGPT to do things for you, I'd be a little hesitant with that. I've tested it a lot. See, Jeremiah even saying, hey, even enterprises are having a hard time with it. Even enterprises, they're having a hard time making it profitable to them. So not only is it not that profitable to, or not at all, to just the individual consumer, people like you and me, but it's also difficult, apparently, at least from Jeremiah, right? We can take it as an anecdotal piece of information and say, okay, it's going to have a hard time to make money. It's going to have a hard time. Man, if the bad news piles on here, I'm down for it. Let's go retest that low. Let's see if recession and all this bad news that we gets priced in. That would be fantastic. What up, Doug? How you doing this morning? I love seeing Doug TV's little emoji thing. That little dog in there. Reminds me of those kids shows I used to watch. Shoot. I don't know. The first one that came to mind was like Hey Arnold or something. But welcome in, Doug. IYC, man. How you doing? So Nvidia goes to $50. Nvidia probably goes to $102, and then we see what happens. Good morning, everyone. I gotta let this on my chest, but I am so damn tired. Just damn manipulated in the market by the freaking Fed. You just have to watch out for those data days. Watch out for those data days. These days can really frustrate you. So, do you want to trade? Do you want to have a trade during a day that throughout your history of trading, if this day continues to frustrate you, would you want to keep trading it? If GDP days are going to frustrate you every single time, are you going to, especially in times like this, are you going to trade it? Or would your life be better without it? Would your life be better by just saying, don't really want to trade it? And I'm not trying to call out Doug TV or anything. I love Doug TV. He's a great dude. And I think he's spot on with what he's saying. But I'm the one who decided, right? Let's just say, and I'm not, trying to put this in a bad way, but let's just take some accountability for ourselves for a moment here. I am the one who decided to trade today, to trade yesterday, to buy something going into this. I am the one who decides to trade in earnings that is a 50-50 flip, because I have no idea what the information is. But on the same side, or the other side of that coin, I am the one who can decide to be patient. I am the one who can decide to not risk money in an environment that is not the environment I'm good at trading in. I can be the one who decides and makes the decision of waiting until we get to an overextended level, like a weekly expected move, a monthly expected move, and then making a trade. You do not have to trade a million times to be successful. Very, very good. And Doug, I get the frustration. It frustrates me, man. You think this stuff makes me happy? when we're seeing a great positive trend, we finally get some good price action going, and then we do this and we get one piece of data that absolutely disrupts everything. You think I'm happy about that? Hell no. I would have loved to see this come out and just be nothing. I would have loved not to even get the GDP reading and get nothing, and then see that thing curl up with a flag. That would be fantastic. But you have to understand the game we're playing here is a lot of things are rigged to beat you up. And the good part is we were mentioning GDP for weeks. It's great. You're a great trader. Learned a lot from you. Hey, thank you for saying that, IYC, man. I'm not a great trader all the time. Sometimes I mess up things. Sometimes I make the stupid mistake of I accidentally hit sell instead of buy on a scale in play. Maybe you guys have been live when I've done that, right? You've seen me go, oh yeah, I want to take a short position here and a short position here, right? There's no technical setup, but still, just for conversation's sake, I want to take a short position here and a short position here. And then when I go to make that next short position, I accidentally sell this position, and then the move happens and I'm screwed. It happens. We're human. Don't beat yourself up if this hurt you today. You're human. Which means what? You make mistakes. It's fine. Even God says it's pretty fine. He knows you're going to make mistakes. Just say sorry. And the best way to say sorry is try to change and understand what you did wrong. Very, very nice. Thanks for the logical perspective. My impulse monkey brain appreciates it. Go Bears. Abram, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. If your Lord and Savior's not going to beat you up for making a mistake, then why would you? We just had Easter. Focus on what you can control. Yeah, you made a mistake. Awesome. You know why I said, what's that video? What's that Jocko video? Hey, we didn't have enough prep for this. Awesome. An opportunity to be better. Hey, our equipment malfunction. Awesome. And an opportunity to train for equipment failures. I love that video. Jesus had to make money too. That dude had taxes, no. Freaking taxes, man. Well, I don't want to tell everyone and manipulate everyone into I'm always right, Ta? Because that's not the case. If I was telling you guys I'm always right, then it's just a lie. I'm not the best liar, let's put it that way. Tesla thoughts. Let's go check out Tesla. Tesla shit in the bed here, right? Did you get any inclination that this was going to shit the bed here? No, you got tricked. This is a trick. This is probably, this is probably what was really happening, trying to go up and test that high. Then some FOMOers get in, right? Retail FOMOers possibly even get in here. Or you could say this was, potentially some institution buying that up to sell it after hours to manipulate you. That's fine. But the key thing here is still what was going on in my 2 hour. And that's why I did this. And I know we're still talking about Tesla and we want to see if that'll come down to react to potentially 258.50. That would be fantastic. But this is why I did this. Did you see in my video where I just went, look at the 2 hour? Look at the 2 hour. What happens from this a lot of the time? Well, let's mark off some of those points and maybe we can go through it since today we're just seeing it bleed and bleed and bleed for the time being. Let's mark off wherever we went to reach these type of levels. Okay, so here we can mark off here, and we can mark off maybe something way in the past, right? It's not quite there. So those are really the only 2 points we have to go off of. What happened from those points? Right? Did we see this after those points? No. We saw a little bit more upside, then you chopped around, then you tried to break through, and you failed. All right, next one. We hit a high, we went and looked like we retested into that potential high, and then we failed. So if I just take this into consideration, was this a great time to be going long? No, what did I say yesterday during the stream? I have sold my longs. I want to see how this plays out because I think we could get that algorithmic move up, but there is potential for a 30-minute or still a 2 hour pullback down to 535. Why did I get out of my calls yesterday? Mainly, I'm not even going to lie, because I looked at this 2-hour chart. I looked at this 2-hour MACD and I said, I'm fine with missing out on this if it means we could see this, right? We could see this at any time. And guess what? I even had inclination of GDP coming in weaker, 0.5. Awesome. I did my due diligence, and therefore I benefit from it. I was not tricked into thinking, oh yes, this has to go up forever, or it has to go up forever right now. It can easily do this, and then do this. It can easily do this and build back. Let's see what happens next. As of right now, 9:03. Let's see what that data is coming out at. As of this moment, we see the core PCE coming in at 0.00 on the core PCE. Personal income coming out at 0.5, which was expected, and personal spending going up to 0.7. Personal spending going up is a very good thing. It produces what? If more people are spending, then is the economy going to grow, even if they are going into debt for it. If personal spending is still high and it's higher than expected and higher than the previous, technically that can be a good thing. But is that a good enough thing to shake off the fact that we just got a negative GDP reading when we were expecting a potentially slightly positive reading? Are we going to get some extreme upside from a personal spending read when we just saw the GDP go from 2.4% to negative, sorry about that, to negative, right? To negative 0.3%. No, you know what's going to be printed here? Recession fears, slowdown in economy. That's what's going to be printed. And if that keeps getting printed, they're going to keep saying it. And then a piece of good news will come out and it'll start to do this. And you won't be ready to react because you're just following the news. We follow the money. So what did we see here? We saw a 30-minute divergence. So let's take this into consideration and see what we are looking for here. If it builds back up and crosses back up, we see positivity, awesome. But if it's going to do what I think it'll do, because that's the most likely thing at this point with the look that we have, weirdly enough, because you got an unexpected number, right? This was pricing in a 2.4, right? Coming down to 0.5. That's what that was pricing in. Maybe a little bit of earnings behind that too. Well, guess what? We just completely blew that out of the water with a negative 0.3. So what does that mean? That means I'm really watching here, to be totally honest with you. I'm really watching here. I don't care when it sets up. It can set up here, here, here. I don't care. But right now I'm thinking, man, the data point I should be watching, here. And what should I be watching for there? Well, what caused this to happen on the 2-hour? What caused the 2-hour to cross here? Right? Let's really, really look at it with a critical thinking kind of brain here, since we have lost that low. And we've lost this low. Okay, well, this was caused by what? Well, the 30-minute was showing us that weakness in momentum. It wasn't fully confirmed, but we were aware of it. Then we got some data that confirmed it really fast, and there was no trade setup to be had, really, unless you risked or rewarded it, you know? So if we take that into consideration, then we probably want to see something like this. What if I draw that the opposite way? Okay, that's weird, right? This is the opposite, correct? An M turns into a W. I want to see that. If I see that, I'm now prepared. If I see the inclination of that, I can risk a reward, right? But I like to say this a lot of the time. If you're new to trading, especially if you're in your first, like, say, 2-3 years, I like to say, wait for confirmations. You are potentially not good enough with position size to do things like risk to reward, just out of the gate. Let momentum tell you when to move, and then you make the decisions. You could take that, you could not take that, right? Take it for what it's worth. Do what you want to do. You're the one who clicky clicks the little buttons, right? This isn't to hurt you in any way. This is not to offend you in any way. This is just to tell you what is happening and what's going on. I really do hope that someone learns from my course, right? Learns from my course and just goes, I'm a genius all of a sudden. I pray to God that that happens to every single one of you that are new to trading and you come in and you know nothing and you take that course and you're immediately just the best trader ever. I pray that that happens. But the probability of that happening is very low. You will need to go through some good times. You will need to go through some bad times. Okay? So the important part is, what am I looking for? I'm looking for this in the opposite direction. I'm looking for this to change. This is what we see for weakness. What do we see for strength? This, right? So I want to see that. Well, technically, we look for this for weakness to the downside. This is what we look for weakness to the upside. Let me restate. This is what we look for weakness that could sell off. This is what we look for weakness that could bounce. Now, if we get down to there and we make a reversal signal and we do this, and then it bounces up to here and then it rejects, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing. We can continue to read into the future here. And literally, with one plan, you can read into the entire future in multiple ways. We're trying to turn hindsight into highly probable foresight. That way we are prepared with our emotions. That way we're prepared with how this is going to move. And that way we're prepared around our key levels of what this thing could do. As of right now, I'm looking at the market on my other screen with a 5-minute chart. It looks like it's going to bounce. And if this thing bounces and does not retake, I would say all the way potentially up to 550, right? If we don't take back 550 confidently and we reject from there, then this is going to be lower levels. That is the most likely thing. Now, do we have any risk of tomorrow just throwing out some good news? Well, let's go check the news again. Tomorrow, you will get an ISM manufacturing PMI. That is supposed to come down. That is supposed to come down. Tomorrow, you will get initial jobless claims before the market opens. That is supposed to increase a little bit. Jobless claims increasing. Will that increase how people feel about this negative GDP reading? Most likely it will. Job losses plus a negative GDP? Shit. Not a good thing. All right, let's read into the chat for a little bit, guys. It's just the facts, and I appreciate it. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm thinking about doing it. Well, Rocky, stick around for a little bit and maybe figure out if it's the best thing for you, right? We're not going to tell you like, hey, it's just going to be great for you. You're going to learn this and immediately be great, right? That's not how the stock market works. But it will put you in a better probability to be great. And you can ask questions about it all you want, Rocky, okay? Now earnings will take us up, right, Rajiv? That's right. Whatever excuse we see. Now, do we see inclinations of that? Because we had inclinations of this. Do we see inclinations of that? No. But I'll tell you what will give us an inclination, right? We were just talking about seeing this on the SPY, right? If this is going to turn around now because we've lost some key levels. Hey, we're still looking if that 2-hour ever whips back up for the SPY. But what does that mean we're looking for volatility? Well, volatility here, we're looking for, ooh, that M, right? The opposite. If we see that from volatility, hey, we can read into it, understand that it can fail. This is a very big move from volatility. What does that mean for volatility as well? What other skills or knowledge can we put to use here? Well, if volatility is up by 13, if it's up by more than 10, that means that the market, the SPY, will most likely, with an 85% chance, get a bounce in the next 2 trading sessions. It will see some kind of positive day. It will see some kind of positive day. Very, very good. Where did we bounce from? I mean, you bounced from like your last level before you could go down to here. So we'll see what happens. Good morning, BK. Was it difficult to start your live stream? No, not today. No difficulty. And I don't know what kind of way you're saying, but no difficulty at all. I just know that people would potentially, a lot of, even people that I trust, some of them don't stream very much on days like this. Because it's earnings, because you got GDP, you just saw a crazy move. It went against the trend here because it just broke through the trend right in the first 30 minutes of the day. A lot of people would get some crazy people in the chat, but I respect you guys, and I think you respect me, and that's why this really works. right? You infected me. I just I'm sorry about that, Jeremiah. I passed on my I've made that mistake like twice a year, every year. So I'm sorry about that, Jeremiah. I jinxed you. So what can we look for here? That would be very, very good. And a lot of people bringing up the Qs. I like this. Let's look for a test. A test of what? Right here. This is going to matter. Because what have you done? You've turned this bit. Let's just treat it all like a zone. Let's just treat it all like a zone. You've turned this zone into potential resistance. And you've even broken below that area where we could still see resistance. So now we need to really get through this. We need to get through the halfway point. You got a chance. Going through the halfway point is a little bit better. But if you just reject, that's why I'm saying sorry, that was what the SPY. That's why I'm overall saying what? 550. Look where 550 is. It's like right here. Where is that? That's pretty much the halfway point. That's why I'm pointing it out. Even if you reject off of 550, that can still get ugly again, right? So it's important to pay attention maybe to the shorter time frames. Things are turning back up. Yeah, just a little bit ago we mentioned, hey, the 5-minute is suggesting that a bounce from here would be nice, but if you do not retake 550 confidently and hold that level for the day, that's going to be a problem. This is where people get caught up and they see a bounce and they see what's going on here and they realize this isn't enough to go off of to say, oh yeah, this is going up. So on, say, like a 5-minute chart, what are you looking for here? It's super deep. Well, whenever it's this deep, what do you make? Well, there's a divergence here, then you bounce, right? There's a divergence here, then you bounce. You go all the way down to here, what happens? You start to see at least better things, right? We always get some kind of rejection. We always get some kind of rejection, right? When you see something that deep on a 5-minute, it can convince you, oh, everything's going to come back to normal. But is the game changing? Well, you just gap directly below the 5. You can now use that as resistance and curl down again. If we see this, it might be different. We might get a 30-minute bounce here that then fails. We'll be probably looking for something like this. But that's more getting into day trading. I'm not a day trader, right? I kind of did here with a position, but it's just, Nazim, I would say this. As far as Bollinger Band goes, right? Let's look at Bollinger Band. Let's put them up for a second. I think I have them available here. Let's look at a 30-minute chart and say this. What Bollinger Bands, in my opinion, are good for is really showing you another point, another thing, something that makes you more confident in a trade. I don't think Bollinger Bands are the easiest thing to just utilize and say I can trade just using Bollinger Bands. There's probably people who do it. They probably have looked into Bollinger Bands for years and understand things that I don't. But how do I really think about Bollinger Bands? Well, I look at Bollinger Bands as this. And it's not necessarily the most helpful right now, you would say. You know, you're at the top end and you were flagging out. It's not necessarily the most helpful. But if we have Bollinger Bands, let's say this was all like this. If I see this, and we're getting into the top end of a Bollinger Band, while we're above that weekly expected move, while we're making divergences, and that hasn't even confirmed, that can add a lot of credibility to risk to rewarding, right? It's more of a thing that I use as a point in order to justify the things that I'm seeing in front of me even more, right? I don't utilize it as something that's like, oh, the best trading thing in the world. Maybe on the daily scale, we'll read into these type of things, right? The fact that if the 5 is crossing through the 20, right? I don't think I have a 20 up right now. Do this. Oh, the 5 crossed the 20, which means what? You're very, very likely to test top Bollinger. You're very likely to test top Bollinger. So what does that tell us about what we're seeing right now and what we have for information this week? Well, this could be the time that pushes you higher to test top Bollinger, right? Now, if this would cross back down through it, we would say we are going to bottom Bollinger, right? This failed. It failed. So you can see that here. crossed, and then we rode. So you want to cross, get up to here, and then ride. Maybe see pullbacks in here and stuff. There's plenty of ways to read into it, but more so I'm using Bollinger Bands as a method to just add to the things that I think are very important. What things that I think are very important? Well, price action, where we are, like the actual price action we're going into. Is this a liquidity grab? All those kinds of things. The MACD, the RSI, right? The things that I really utilize, the weekly expected moves, I really utilize them. And then if I am feeling iffy about something, I can pull up Bollinger Bands and see if we're at the top end of those. And then I get a confirmation. I go, okay, now I feel very, very good about this, right? It's important to feel good about this. Extra confirmation. Yeah, it's less of a confirmation, more of a, is the level I'm seeing right now excessive? That's the way to put it. Am I seeing excessive downside according to my weekly expected moves, according to my MACD? Okay, I see a divergence. What's that Bollinger Band look like? Wow, we're at the bottom of that Bollinger Band. We just bounced off it. It's getting pretty tight, right? Bollinger Band is very good at showing you expansion into contraction, right? Which is very, very nice. So if you pull up Bollinger Bands here, what's happening? Well, around this area, you got tight. Then you see a big move. Then you see more big moves, right? You see that snapback. Then what happens? You get tight, you see a big move, you see a bigger move. Now they're going to spread out again. So these things go from tight, and then they spread out all of a sudden. So it can tell you when a big inflection point is really going to come. So that's something very, very cool, right? Because look at this. I mean, this is a massive amount of distance from here to here, right? But if we take at the low, oh, it started to get smaller, right? It started to get smaller right here. Then when we reverse, we were already starting to spread out because we got that big move right here, right? So it got smaller and smaller and smaller. You'll see that especially in times like this as well, right? Once you start to expand on a few moves and then you get tight again, you get tight again, you get tight again, break. What happens? It spreads out. It's very good at showing you the expansion versus contraction. And you can look at it kind of like an eyeball and be like, wow, is that tighter than it used to be? Yes, right? And then you can say, okay, some kind of expansive move could be coming. Good move here from the 5-minute over here on the SPY. Trying to go to the upside as of right now. One slight divergence on the RSI, not on the MACD. The MACD is extremely, extremely deep. This is going to take a lot of work to shake off a terrible GDP. And you are going to retest the low that you just broke. If you're lucky, you could get that to retest all the way up to 550 because 550 is what you need to take back. QQQ, as far as it goes. Maybe for this one, I'll cheat a little bit because I just fixed these. Take the low point and say, okay, where's that middle? Well, right around 471. If we're not taking back 471 confidently, that's going to be an issue. If we're rejecting off of 471, then we're probably heading down to where? 455. So rejection anywhere before 471, bad. Anything above 471, pretty good. Best case scenario, you test the high, and you're just moving sideways. Was the 5 crossing through the 20? Not necessarily. That's just a Bollinger Band thing that, just like the VIX research that I've done, the VIX to get that 85% thing, and to get certain levels on VIX that I like, and the level of 20 and the level of 12 and things like that. It's kind of like that. It's just something that I've looked into that, smarter than people than me have published on, and I, read into Bollinger Bands years and years and years ago. So I'd have to go find all those things again. That was not necessarily taught to me in any way. I just researched it thoroughly and read some things, and hey, that's what happened. That's usually a good sign. Am I thinking of getting back into Amazon around after earnings? I am thinking of doing this right now. Do you guys want to know what I'm thinking of? I'll tell you exactly what I'm thinking right now. It's 2 words. Very, very simple. Very simple plan for the next few trading sessions. Let me tell you what it is. It starts with B, ends with patient. Be patient is my plan. Be patient. I made money today. I'm probably one of the lesser people that were able to make money today. So am I going to throw that away and say I need to make money tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day? Or am I going to back off for a bit and say, let's see what the market wants to do? Maybe it'll set something like this up. Oh, let's see what the market wants to do. Maybe it'll set something like this up. That's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking for it to become obvious. Because right now, we're just looking for, are we going to test 550? Are we going to take it back? If you're not, and you just lost this low, then it's more probable to see this. Am I going to trade this? I could, potentially, right? I think a day trader would potentially be looking for things like that. But me, myself, I think that this could come because we haven't tested 562. I think we could see this. Then we could see upside, right? Then we see a few, maybe even a week or so of upside. Then we see that turn down. And then everyone says what? What does everyone say in May? Sell in May and go away will be said. And you know what'll maybe even happen? Sell in May and go away will be said all the way down to here. And then we might see a 2-hour show us this, and a daily show us this, and the 2-hour show it at the same time. And then when everyone's selling in May and going away, we are paying attention. If this doesn't set up, though, there's nothing to do, right? Something's a catchy phrase in the news. Do you think I follow it that much? Or do I just pay attention to what's going on? I pay attention to what's going on. I don't even want to try to trade today. See, like, even Kalani's like, screw this. And Kalani's not even going to fade the high percentage zone for the day. That's how bad this is. And Kalani loves to fade that high percentage zone. Don't tell me you don't. Even Chris, I wonder if Chris is doing something today. Chris probably is. Chris probably is. I feel like Chris likes to. We'll see. But from this type of look right now, are things very obvious? We have too many rocks in the stream for me to risk money right now. Just got an IWM. I fucking knew it, Chris. IWM, big move to the downside, broke the low. All right, even dipped down even lower, coming down into these type of areas. I don't think we have the right weekly expect. Let's get you. Let's Chris. I know you're part of it, but let me get you the. Let's get everyone the up and down side for IWM. IWM looking like what? 201, right? We called out 200, so 201.22. I got rid of my IWM a while back, so no reason to update it, I guess. 187.02. Boom. So what are you looking like from this perspective? Well, one, we just tested into that previous resistance. Could be support, right? This doesn't have to be ugly, ugly, ugly. We just have to see positivity. Now, I would say this, if we're getting the negative GDP reading, we're starting to see interesting things here and there. I'd just be very cautious of, like, especially from the position side of thinking like, oh yeah, this is going to take place, right? The only thing we should maybe expect if this 30-minute is able to curl up into positive territory is what? 201.22. We were mentioning how 200 is actually a pretty important level as well, 200. But very good. So if we're going to see more of this continue, we would look for that. That would be fantastic. Or let the 2-hour take its time. Do whatever it wants to do, whatever it wants to do, right? It can fucking do a loop-de-loop and pull. But at the end of the week, are we seeing a divergence or are we seeing a 2-hour do this? Next week, are we seeing a 2-hour do this? Because if so, looks like we might head to that next week, right? But the important thing here is I'm going to be patient, right? People asking what I'm thinking, what I'm doing. Okay, that's fine. Reasonable question. Be patient is the plan. Good trade. Don't ruin it by trying to trade again in this crazy time. That's my decision. You can decide to do things however you would like. I'm just trading to manage the trade. Perfectly fine. Hedging, doing whatever you got to do. Sitting on my hands is a trick I learned through time. That's great, Kalani. I think when Kalani first came into here, it was just every day. Every day. So seeing that little change, not a bad thing. Understanding, hey, this isn't the best environment for me. Is that so horrible? Is that really so horrible? And thank you for the blessings, Bernie. Sometimes the best decision is no decision. And then sometimes the worst decision is no decision. Right? A lot of people would have that argument with remaining in the dollar when inflation is going up, right? We heard about that for years. Very, very nice. Showing some relative strength, I guess. Move is coming very soon. We can go look. One thing that I'd be interested in is how did gold actually go up? Because it's interesting that gold is actually not seeing positivity from this in some way. If people are really fearful, you would see them maybe fly into gold. I would also potentially expect TLT to be going up, and we're not seeing that either. But look at this. Calls, calls, calls. Calls, calls, calls. So is the job done here yet for the market maker for Wall Street? I would have, my opinion would be no based on what I'm seeing. I don't know for a fact, but my opinion would be no. But if we're able to take back 550, we'll see what happens. It's from date to date, nicey. It's from date to date, I believe. Yeah. So I think it's like you buy it on the 3rd, you get it from the 3rd to the next 3rd, and then you get charged again. Gold likely not yet correcting. Small bounce today, though, for a short scalp. 5,500 making upward moves. We're able to take back 5,500 in SPX or futures, like ES or what? Yeah, ES 5,500. Pretty damn thing. Wish you a good time with your family today. Hey, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be spending most of my time with baby girl. Mama's been trying to get in for her new tattoo. You know, they can't get tattoos when you're pregnant, so she's trying to get in for her new tattoo. When does Dad get a new tattoo? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. So let's look here. We're going to go deep into this today. And notice that none of this means I'm trading. None of the things that I say today mean I'm going to trade. Zero. Zilch. And thank you for the 2. It's a matter of if it goes up a lot before it goes down, which is quite possible. It is funny. It is a matter of that. That's actually really funny phrasing. But yes, it is a matter of, can this 5-minute go positive again? And look at this. Like if you just read into your MACD right now, this is a great snapback. This is a great V so far. It's very algorithmic. What are we in right now? Algorithmic times. Why do you think I sold my short position? Because I don't need to get rich and get excited thinking we're going out of here when I know a lot of this was algorithmic. So if the algorithm has just something, that's the bad part about the market these days. If the algorithm just has something that they would like to test, they can just shoot it there. They can slow grind it up there. So if I see a moment like this, I take profit. Now, this has a very good likelihood to continue. Why? Look at this. You have so much space here before you're confirmed of being in a positive trend that you probably have to see all of this to get back in, which means I'm going to have to see what? Probably a higher low. If we're going to go up to 550 and fail, then what am I going to have to see to turn around on the 30-minute? Well, I potentially need to see this grind up to here. We see this go like this, and then it's going to turn down, and then I could see that. And if that forms, okay. Let's see if we get a 30-minute bounce. If the 30-minute flags out, hey, we can head lower because I'm looking for that M on the downside. The only thing you had here was like, just do this real quick. If you do extend it, the only thing you really had was this, right? Futures market 5-minute, not necessarily the most trustworthy thing in the world, but hey, worked this time. Turned down for what? Wait, are you saying a song? Turned down for what? Because any rich people that, weirdly enough, this is how I think about markets sometimes when you get a bounce like this. Because any rich people that were taken back by this move, you know, them and their friends can get together, pump up some stocks, get it up to the level where they're not going to lose a bunch or even still make money, and then they'll sell that thing. Wall Street has a lot of Wall Street has a lot of money and a lot of coordination. So why would it turn down? You just got a GDP of negative 0.3. Why would it go back up? Because they're trying to retest 562. Right? So I'm going to sit. Let them do whatever they want to do. You want to retest here, or do you want to retest down here first? What do you want to do, Wall Street? What do you want to do? You want me, see, Wall Street wants me to do everything in here and then get everything wrong and then just go. That's what Wall Street wants. They want you losing your mind right now and not realizing like, hey, I could just like wait a day or two and it'll probably show me direction. Right? Calm it down. And if you're really freaking out, I would really look at your position sizing. If your position sizing is good, don't freak out. Just don't. Right? It's part of the game. If you have 25K and you only risked, you know, $500 in this environment, you shouldn't be freaking out. You know, you're still in the game. You're still well into the game. But I'm sure the ES on the 5-minute showed you it. Yeah, it showed you the RSI. So you knew a bounce was coming. But is this really, really good? Well, let's see. Let's see. This means you have a chance, right? This is the only block we have, so let's see. Well, right now, are we through that center? No. Are we at the top? No. So is making this even something that we can talk about yet? No. Can we do this? Yeah, what'd you take back? 55.10? What, 55? Yeah, 55.10-ish. But if we reject from the bottom side of that, what's it saying? It's most likely saying lower. And then maybe you get to here, and then you get the real bounce that takes you up to here. Then you can see if you're able to build this up over time. It can be as simple as that. We need to go over this in the course, actually. I need to make this video talking about price action a little bit further, talking about blocks and things like that. Because you can do it on any time frame. It looks like 25, what is it, 2450 is what I pointed towards for GME. It's weird, but like GME is a great hit. Now, GME is not down that much, really. Like in perspective here, you know, you're seeing -4%, -6%, -3%, GME -0.84. AMC looks worse. Please add to course. We will, Martin. I just have to, the thing is, like, these things, you have to realize, these things are all in my head. I'm not necessarily a teacher first, right? I haven't been a teacher for years and years and years. That's why I try to make sure to take my time with it, explain things thoroughly. Usually I film like 10 times to make sure what I'm saying is getting across in the way that I would like it to. So yeah, Martin, I'll get working on it though, because I think that would be a great benefit to people, is to understand those type of things in times like this. Is like, hey, you know, a simple rejection from where can tell us a lot. And that can tell you a lot about this 5-minute, right? I can tell you a lot about this 5-minute. We can maybe draw up the zone, right? We can draw up a zone here and say that was kind of ecstatic, but we're going to include that because we just saw something. We're going to include the important level here. We could include this as well if we really wanted to, right? And say, actually, the level of about 549.75 is very, very important. And then we can sit and we can watch the 5-minute and see what behavior happens around here as you just broke through. You just broke through. Do we use this as resistance? And it doesn't mean that if we do this, we can't see this. That means that it is less probable to see this if we get past that yellow line. But the further we get past it, the less probable it is. It doesn't mean that probability just goes away magically, because you've seen this all the time where you get a gap, fill, go. But right now, we're rejecting off of the first freaking point, the first one, right? We're absorbing the previous bar. We're potentially even going to absorb the next one. This is very good. This is what day traders do, pretty much. ChatGPT recommended me. Do you recommend Bill Shannon? I think technical analysis across multiple time frames. Yes, I do. I do like technical analysis across multiple time frames. That's like the basis of a lot that I do based on trades, right? If I'm looking for a 2-hour move down, right? We were talking about this 2-hour, the positioning of the MACD, something we talk about in the 50. It's literally $50 if you want to get started. If you're really, really new, the swing trading course for $50 gets you that good, just like into the shallow end, dip your toes in kind of vibe. If you want to jump into the deep end, full technical analysis course is 80% off. You want to get both right now. It's like $250 to get both. And then you can just be like, okay, I'm going to dip my toes in and then, slowly take that other one. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But for this, we use multiple time frames. We say, I'm looking for the move down from the 2-hour because this is really high up and we are likely to get a pullback. So I can look at a 30-minute and say, okay, what am I seeing on the 30-minute? I am seeing some weakness here. Do I have confirmation? No. But do I have enough information to potentially risk to reward this? Well, if you include the fact that you had a lower GDP, right? We had a lower GDP estimate. Then you could say, okay, maybe I'm going to utilize that information. Is the media talking about it? No. So right away, my inclination to the media, I go, okay, they're not really talking about it. If they were talking about it for a week, I probably wouldn't have taken this play at all. I wouldn't have risk rewarded it at all. I know that's crazy to say, but that's the truth of it. Meanwhile, the ES is trying to do some work over here. Trying to do some work. Next one will be at 25.48. I'll go check on volatility. I don't think it's bad to check on volatility. So the first bounce at 26.03. I think you could see this thing go for the double top here. I think you look for potential here for retest of the low. If you get the retest of the low and it goes well, then you can start to see that thing build back up today. If you get that retest of the low and it doesn't go well, I think that's going to be bad. Right? What we're saying is now that you've tested in here, if you reject from there and you head down lower, we will still look for if you're able to hold up by that low and get that to go back up and then see if you can exceed that line. You can test this multiple times. Lucas, what the fuck did you do to them? Sorry. That's my bad. That's my bad, guys. I gotta chug some coffee real quick. Give me a slight break here. Tesla had a good bearish divergence yesterday. It looks like 260 is possible, but anything can happen in this environment. Doesn't bother me at all. Hell yeah. That's what's up, Dubs. I love to hear it. Rocky, as far as Bill Shannon goes, I did not learn directly from Bill Shannon. I might have on accident or something like that, but I would have to look into it further. I would say anyone that's talking about multiple time frames, I can check them out for you if you'd like. Just keep coming back and reminding me, because I do like to check out people for my chat. So I'll write down Bill Shannon, actually. Let me just look up a video of his, maybe, if he has some, or any kind of material. Maybe, oh, that's funny. Because of what's going on, all I'm getting is Shannon Sharp information. Oh, poor Shannon Sharp. Apple, how we doing on that leg of things? Apple's known to, man, see Apple earnings. You know what stock has saved the market the most in the time that I've been in the stock market trading? It's Apple. Apple has saved the market so many freaking times. But here's the thing with Apple, they could be giving bad news because of China. So this could pile on. Is that after hours today? No, after hours on Thursday. Thursday tomorrow. Okay, so a lot of things after hours tomorrow. So I'm going to pay attention if we're down here by tomorrow afternoon. God, that means I need to see a 30-minute, I need to see this rip down, and I need to see a 30-minute bounce, going into tomorrow, and then fade into the end of the day, and then we'll see what happens, right? Thinking of how that timing could line up. But if this is all just bad, 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 woo! I can tell you one thing, though, today. The market maker, the Wall Street, they do not want to close below 530 today. So 530.83, 531, that's pretty much, not going to happen. So any kind of absolute crash looking type thing right now, probably one of the least probable things. You wouldn't do all this work to get back into the monthly expected move so that you are now profitable or okay, right? Look at that. I'm sure you guys have seen VWAPs too from the beginning of the year. I think it was yesterday, the past 2 days, minus today obviously, but yesterday and the day before, the average person who bought the stock market actually not underwater anymore. Kind of crazy. Gaps are rough, but that's because that dark pool activity, baby. That dark pool activity coming up. That's why you got to watch out after hours, especially if you're day trading, man. You got to watch out every day for that. At least for me, I just have to pay attention to the weekend usually. We are ripping. Any news? Not that I know of at this moment. We need Willow. Willow's our news guy. I need a news guy because I just hate the news too much. That's one thing I need to change about myself, right? I can be accountable for that. I need to be better at paying attention to actual news, but it's hard for me to take news in and be like, oh yeah, they're just telling you bad things when things are bad, and they're telling you good things when things are good. Starbucks. See, Starbucks. Bad earnings. CEO after the earnings miss. A lot of good things on the way, though. Okay, well, you got a lot of room to build back. So, once you're in a little better spot, maybe. But for now, ooh. We could be degens and go into a 1-minute chart probably right now. Jeremiah, is that a bad thing or a good thing? That government spending is down. Is that a bad thing for the average American or a good thing that the government spending was down? What do you think, Jeremiah? I want to see. I'd be careful with anything that Ken Griffin buys. Anything Ken Griffin buys, if he buys a lot of it, he usually likes to short sell the freaking crap out of it. That's one thing. He could be buying it because it's good, but he could short sell the fuck out of it, just to be totally honest. That dude deserves cuss words. VIX gave back half of today's gains. Good sign. Took the gamble because he's a market maker. Yeah. Oh, no, I get it. I think we talked about it. Someone asked about it, and I was like, well, if he's buying it, then he probably knows something we don't. Which means up for now. Just watch if he starts. Watch if it starts dropping like crazy. I don't think it would, right? Is that Spirit, right? Is it Spirit? I highly doubt that thing he would short sell, but we'll see. VIX dropped off. Let me go check on some stuff now. VIX dropped off, but it went right down to where you wanted it to, right? It went down to that 26.23, and you were able to hold above it actually pretty well. Let me see the opening bar here. Yeah, right on 26.23. Very nice there. So now you're looking if we can get that next trend move up, which means this could fall down lower. And the real reversal we're looking for is potentially here. But that can take a lot of time, and it's a 5-minute chart, and you're pretty deep. So you could literally do this, 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 and then turn up. I think it's better to understand that GDP is down because of government spending and not consumer enterprise spending or production. I think it's a good thing in the long run, as it's a lot easier to get the government to spend money than private equities or entities. I think that's a very good assessment there, and I 100% agree. I think that the fact that GDP is down because government spending is down is a good thing for you. It's a good thing for your taxes. It is a good thing for inflation to stop. Now someone's going to bring up tariffs. I'm talking about things in a mutually exclusive way. We don't have to say this was bad, so it's and compare the two. Let's just take one situation and assess the situation. If government spending is lower, your tax money is not being wasted as much. If your tax money is not being wasted on things, then inflation will not go up as high because of government spending. We can just focus on one topic and talk about it. We don't have to compare it to another topic. Now we can say tariff, and you can go off on that topic all you want. But right now we're talking about what? Government spending. Government spending going down, pretty good. VIX climbing right back up. Still that 26.23. What's Kenny buying so I can avoid it? Fly, FLYY, I think. FLYY, right? I believe it is some IPO. It's not Spirit, right? It's... Oh, it is Spirit. Spirit Aviation Holdings. Take a look. Hey, it's at a low. I mean, not bad. Obviously, no dividend inclination yet. Oh, he owns it. It is Spirit. Okay. Good sign then. Oh, I must drink this. I need to drink coffee. Keep it going. Looks good. All right, guys, I do have to hop off. I went over the time. I lost track of time because I'm just focused on trying to be helpful, trying to talk about key topics and talk about what's going on here. So I won't be able to be live later today. We will put out a YouTube video. I didn't have much time for a YouTube video last night, but I will have time today. So you will get a good YouTube video tonight. So make sure you're liking, subscribing, doing all that good stuff. And I appreciate you guys being here, but I have to hop off right away. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a fantastic day. Pay attention to risk, right? Pay attention to trading like water. Understand we still have rocks down the stream. So what am I choosing to do? Me. What am I choosing to do? I'm just going to talk about my decision making going forward right now. Right now it is there are too many rocks in the stream. So I'm going to sit back, relax, and look for something to get obvious. Peace out. Have a freaking-tastic day. And I hope you guys have all the luck of the world with your trades if you do decide to assume some risk today, all right? Peace out, guys. Right before I hit end, thank you so much, Sebastian, for the 2 again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy your day as well. Thank you guys for the little donations today. Appreciate you guys giving back to the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good one, guys.